All right, let's go into our Super Bowl preview mode here, and let's talk a little bit about the Super Bowl. I'm going to throw out the positions to you and mention some names, and I want you guys to kind of tell me who you think has the edge. Okay, I mean, obviously quarterback is easy. There's only two names, right? Stafford and Burrow. Here's their playoff stats through 3 games. They've each played 3 playoffs games. Stafford 72% completion, 302 yards a game, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, 2 TD runs on his own. Burrow, 69% completion, 281 yards passing per game, 4 TD passes, 2 interceptions, no TD runs. Who do you think has the edge at quarterback?
Yeah, you know what? This may be kind of a contrary opinion, but I'm going to give it to Burrow because, like you said, they both played 3 playoff games,
right?
You'd think, the veteran Stafford, but this is his first time really. I think he made the playoffs 1 year with Detroit, but
he did, yeah.
Yeah. So, but first time in the Super Bowl, on the second time in the playoffs in his 13 years, and then Burrow's he's played in more big games recently. I mean, I know college is not the same, but 2 years ago he played the national championship game, which is the college equivalent of the Super Bowl, right? So,
right.
He's got more recent big game experience where the pressure is similar, as far as the team you're playing for. But I'm gonna give it to Burrow here just for those reasons.
You agree, Nathan?
You've convinced me. I initially was thinking Stafford, but you make a lot of good points. I'm going to say Burrow also.
Yeah,
I'm also going to say Burrow because he's got like the hotter hand right now. Like he's riding high. He's feeling himself.
Right.
Right. And he kind of almost has nothing to lose. I mean,
exactly.
He's already done what he needs to do this playoffs, and more so, he's already established himself. Stafford a little bit. I feel like is, he needs this more than Burrow needs it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not only because his career is closer to an end than Burrow's is, but just because he needs to prove that he can win a Super Bowl. Like Burrow's is like already like it's kind of he's already proved. Burrow's proved what he needs to prove in these playoffs already. Stafford entered these playoffs needing to prove he can win a Super Bowl. This is what he has to do.
Right.
No, I think that's excellent analysis from both of you, and I agree with you. I would give it to Burrow. Let's look at running backs. The Rams have Cam Akers, Sony Michel, and Darrell Henderson, who I'm not even sure Darrell Henderson is going to be really that much available. He's been injured. So the question mark there. The Bengals, Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine, and Chris Evans, who ran the ball pretty well in the playoffs for them. Let me throw out some things for you real quickly. The Rams are only averaging 2.9 yards a carry in the whole postseason, so they haven't been able to run the ball very well. They also forgot Sony Michel, but like I said, Henderson hasn't played since December due to a knee injury. The Bengals, on the other hand, have only averaged about 3.8 yards a carry in the playoffs. But Mixon's had a great year with 1,200 yards rushing, 16 total touchdowns, and he did make the Pro Bowl, and he has topped 100 scrimmage yards over his last 2 games. So what do you think about running backs there?
I'm going to give it to Mixon. I think that, like you said, he's kind of a one-man show for them back there. He kind of does it all. The Rams have used 2 to 3 guys all season.
Right.
I think even going back to our fantasy preview, I like Mixon as a running back, so I'm going to give it to him.
Nathan,
I give it to him and Perine. Or is that how you say it?
Yeah, Samaje Perine.
Yeah, those 2 guys are better than the Rams have.
Fair enough. I agree with you. All right, let's look at receivers. This is where it gets interesting. The Bengals, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. I'm not going to even mention the other 2 names because they're not really.
Ouch.
They're not really factors.
They're not listening.
All right. If they're listening, I apologize. CJ Uzomah and Drew Sample. For the Rams, obviously, we got Cooper Kupp, who was the Triple Crown winner in the NFL, led the league in yards receiving, catches, and touchdown catches. Odell Beckham Jr., Van Jefferson, Tyler Higbee, who might not even play in the Super Bowl after suffering a sprained medial collateral ligament against the 49ers, Kendall Blanton, and Ben Skoranek, who is another tight end. Blanton's also a tight end, I believe. So this is where it gets interesting. I mean, what do you think about the receiving corps here?
I think I have to give this one to the Rams. if you say that Jamar Chase and Cooper Kupp are similar, I think you give the tiebreaker to Kupp because, like you said, he won the Triple Crown as far as receivers. I think he's got the NFL experience. He's played more years than Jamar Chase. And again, the Super Bowl is a different animal, right? It's
Right.
its own thing, but I think just his experience in the league, the fact that he was the leading receiver this year, I think you give him a little bit of the edge over Chase. And then when it comes down to the second receivers, I think Odell Beckham is ultimately better than T. Higgins right now as a receiver.
Right.
So I think that the second receiver almost kind of breaks the tie there, and then Van Jefferson I think is better than
Tyler Boyd
too.
Yeah.
So it's not like an overwhelming edge, but I'd give the edge to the Rams.
Right.
Especially exactly what I was going to say. Kupp and Chase are comparable, but I mean, especially after the season Kupp had, you got to give it to Kupp. You got to give the edge to Kupp. And then Beckham, as much as whatever you want to say about off the field or his mentality, he's a better receiver than T. Higgins right now. The other ones are maybe comparable, but you just have 2-1 right there. So
Rams. No, I agree with that. I think obviously the Rams are going to try to take away Jamar Chase. More than likely, Ramsey's going to be covering him, so that should be an interesting matchup. And Higgins and Boyd are going to have to step up, kind of like they did against the Chiefs, to have any success. But the way Odell Beckham is playing and Cooper Kupp, he's just unbelievable. And then, like Joseph said, you throw in Van Jefferson and even Kendall Blanton, the other tight end that filled in for Higbee in the second half of the 49er game. I think the Rams obviously have the advantage when it comes to receivers. Offensive line, I'm not going to talk too much about that. I think we already mentioned that the Bengals offensive line is really kind of their biggest concern. They've really not been able to protect Joe Burrow. And if they thought they had troubles protecting them against the Titans and the Chiefs, they're going to have even more trouble protecting him against the Rams. So I think it's obvious that the advantage there is going to go to the Rams when you look at the guys that they've got on that line and the fact that they've been able to pass block with more efficiency than the Bengals. So we'll just jump right over that. So let's go to the front seven defensive wise. Again, Nathan brought up a good point about the Bengals. I mean, they have a tremendous front seven. They play a 4-3. Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard, DJ Reader, and BJ Hill. BJ Hill, a guy that the Giants got rid of, obviously. And then at linebacker, Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, Marcus Bailey. The Rams, on the other hand, 3-4. Aaron Donald, Sean Robinson, Greg Gaines. At linebackers, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, Troy Reader, and Ernest Jones.
I give it to the Rams. You've got, like I said, Super Bowl MVP and Von Miller, who's obviously has Super Bowl experience and was the difference maker in that game, you could say.
Right.
And then same with Aaron Donald's Super Bowl experience, and is arguably the best defensive player in football, depending on who you ask. So the Bengals don't have anybody really that matches those two guys and their big game experience. So I'm going to give the edge to the Rams.
Yeah, I agree. I like the Bengals defensive line, and they're better than a lot of D lines, I feel like. Mm-hmm. But not as good as the Rams. And then when you add the linebackers into it, the Rams. Or I think the Rams are, they take this pretty easily.
Well, I think I agree with you guys. I think the Bengals, they're not chopped liver. Those guys play really well. They have some good schemes, and they've certainly, wreaked a lot of havoc against some of the teams they've played.
Sam Hubbard was the guy I was trying to
Sam Hubbard, right. But then again, like you guys said, you look at the Rams. I mean, when you got Aaron Donald taking on double team blocks, that's going to free up guys like Floyd and Reader. And of course, Von Miller coming off the edge is just too hard to block. So it's going to be hard for Burrow against those guys, especially with the porous offensive line. Let's look at the secondary. Again, we don't follow a lot of these names, but I think the Rams I'll chime in. I think the Rams have the edge here. Jalen Ramsey, Darius Williams, David Long, Dante Dion, safeties Taylor Rapp, Nick Scott, and Eric Weddle, who came out of retirement to join the Rams here a few weeks ago. And then the Bengals, Chidobe Awuzie, who's been very good. Mike Hilton's been good. Eli Apple, who was original Giant draftee, has been horrible. Trey Flowers, Jesse Bates, Von Bell, Michael Thomas. But they've played very well. I mean, this year, the Bengals secondary has played pretty well in the playoffs against the Raiders, the Titans, and the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think that for me, this is I almost could say a toss-up. I think that, yeah, I think as a unit, I'll give the edge slightly to the Bengals. Like you said, they've had such a good playoffs, and then obviously Jalen Ramsey's a big name, and partly because he brings a lot of attention to himself. But if you take him kind of out of the picture, I think overall as a unit, I'd give it to the Bengals basically.
Nathan, what do you think?
It could, like I said, it could very well be a toss-up.
I'm gonna give it to the Rams. Weddle has a lot of experience. Ramsey's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Eli Apple is a little questionable, maybe.
He's very questionable. And then,
On the
but
field.
here's an interesting thing for you. Cincinnati, remember they played very well against Patrick Mahomes, and their 6 interceptions this postseason lead the NFL by a significant margin, which they may not have a lot of star talent, and they may not be able to snuff out receivers, but they seem to make plays when they have to make them, and that could be a determining factor. And then special teams, I think it's pretty much a given. Evan McPherson, the Bengals kicker, is just in a zone right now. The guy's a rookie. He's kicked 2 field goals to send his team to the AFC Championship and to the Super Bowl.
Called at least one of them.
Called both of them. I heard he called
Did he
both
get
of them.
it?
Yeah.
Well, you might as well call the second one.
Well, yeah, even the second one, he said, guys, I guess we're going to actually go to a Super Bowl. So, of course, that was only 31 yards, a lot better than the 50-some yarder he kicked to go to the AFC Championship.
I don't want to say there wasn't any pressure. There's obviously pressure, but
sure.
But it was overtime. If they missed that, they go back on defense and they try to stop.
That's true. And he is 12 for 12 on postseason field goal attempts, which is pretty impressive for a rookie kicker. I think you got to give the edge to the Bengals there, if for nothing else, because of their kicker, especially the fact that he's been so good in the postseason. Then I'm not even going to get into coaching. I mean, everybody thinks that Sean McVay is kind of the darling, especially since he's already been to a Super Bowl. But the interesting thing here is he worked with Sean McVay from 2017 to 2018 before he left to go to Cincinnati. So it's an example here, or a situation where you have the master and the pupil, but both of them are extremely young.
I think McVay's probably learned from coaching against Belichick in the Super Bowl.
Probably.
I think he kind of he's better prepared after that.
Yeah. I neither here nor there. Coaches don't win games, athletes win games. So we'll see.
Game plans are important though.
But I think the game's going to be a good game. I mean, I think the Rams are the early favorite here by about 4. That's probably going to change as we get closer to the game. But Nathan and I were talking here right before dinner that, I think it's going to be an exciting football game, and I would have no problem with either team winning it. How about you, Joseph?
Yeah, I agree. That's good. Well, first of all, I agree with the fact it's going to be a good game. But trying to decide if I'd have a problem with the team winning, I ultimately wouldn't have a problem. I guess I'd like to see the Bengals win. That'd be
right,
kind of neat. But I will say that the only shocking outcome would be a Bengals blowout.
Right.
I'm blowing out the Rams. I wouldn't be totally shocked if the Rams blew out the Bengals.
Right.
Bit surprised. I don't think that's going to happen, but wouldn't be shocked. But I do expect a pretty close game, within 10 points or so either way.
Right.
I'm definitely looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's going to be a good game, and I would agree that only shocking thing would be the Bengals blowing them out. I wouldn't mind if either team won, I guess. So it's going to be fun for me to watch it because, or you could say less fun because I wouldn't be as, passionately rooting for one team or the other, but
a bit more relaxed.
Right. But I hope the Bengals win. It'd be kind of neat to see them win. Although I would kind of feel bad for the Rams. They put all their cards on the, they put all their, what do you call it?
They put all their chips in the middle of the table, right?
Yeah. All their, what's the chickens in one basket? Is that a thing?
Eggs and chickens in one basket. Eggs in one basket.
Eggs in one basket. They put all their eggs. It's kind of the same thing. Chickens or eggs in one basket. So if they lose this, it's kind of a bummer. More so than usual. It's not like they have a team that's built to last.
Right.
Are we doing predictions? Is that what you said?
Well, let me say a couple things first, then we'll do some predictions. Had the Bengals beaten the Titans in the AFC Championship game, the Raiders, and maybe some other average team who was in the playoffs in the AFC, Steelers or the Colts or whatever, I'd say, it's going to be awful tough for them. But, they beat a Chiefs team in the second half there by shutting down Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce. They're going to be facing the same problem this week when you've got, Stafford, Beckham, and Kupp. So my point in saying that is I wouldn't put it past the Bengals to be able to come up with a plan to be able to slow the Rams down. I think the problem for the Bengals in this game is going to be their offense. They went against a Titans defense who was very good and sacked Burrow 9 times, but they were still able to move the football. Chiefs defense, very good, move the football. But this Rams defense, I think they're statistically the number 1 defense in the NFL, and it's going to be a little hard for them there. So I wouldn't put it past the Bengals at all, but I don't know. I'll reserve my prediction for last. Let's start with Joseph. Joseph, who's going to win?
Yeah, I'm going to say the Rams win the game. I'm going to say 27-21.
Nathan.
I think, initially I thought it'd be the Rams, but I'm going to say Bengals. Initially, the reason I thought it'd be the Rams is because the Bengals offensive line is suspect, and the Rams have a dominant pass rush, so
Right.
Burrow's going to be running for his life all game. But I think this is one of the, I think on paper, this game, it's the Rams. But I feel like it's just one of those times when like everything is aligning for the Bengals. It's kind of feels like it's their season. Like
Yes.
I don't see them having this Cinderella story in the playoffs and then just having it end like this.
Right.
I feel like this is kind of like the Giants when they beat the Patriots in 2007, right?
Right.
Like it's. I think they're going to win. It's just throw everything else out the window. They're going to win somehow. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say 27-24, and McPherson's going to kick the game-winning field goal.
Yeah, that's what I wasn't going to say the exact score, but I do think McPherson is going to come through again and kick the game-winning field goal. I think it's going to be maybe 20-17 Bengals. But I think it's going to be a really good football.
But like
game.
Joseph said, is anybody going to be surprised though if the Rams like score on the
No.
first 2 possessions is 14-0 quick?
No, but we've seen the Bengals come back from that the last 2 games,
I know,
right?
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I think what's going to be more surprising to me is Joseph mentioned it is if the Bengals win this game handily, and it'll also be surprising to me if the Rams come out in the first half and lead by 2 or 3 touchdowns and then extend that lead in the second half. That would surprise me a little bit as well.